You are now witnessing an exclusive episode on the In This Corner podcast. It's your host, the legend Todd Finney himself. I got a special guest in the building with me today. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome my boy Chris G. Chris, what's good?
Hey, it's good to be on, man. It's been a long time coming.
Yeah. Man, I appreciate you coming on. Like I said, man, this was totally unexpected. But we got a lot of boxing, to talk up. Last weekend we had, Stephen Shaw versus Effie Ajaba on the undercard. We had Johnny Rice versus Vianello. So we can get into that. Also we got the news: Caleb Plant versus David Benavidez. It's happening March 25th in Las Vegas. So also we got Kuboy Fulton is possibly fighting in Nui in May or June, and Kuboy is possibly going to be flying to Japan for that fight. So we got a lot to get into, man. Let's just start off. Let's just start off with the card from last weekend. Stephen Shaw versus Effie Ajaba. Like me, I felt the fight was boring.
It was very boring. It was just the after the first two rounds, it was Efe just chasing Shaw around the entire time, and he was throwing the one-off jab, and then Efe Jabba was landing the occasional 1-2, but he was putting the pressure on, landing most of the shots. So he won literally 80% of that fight.
Yeah, I think Shaw was just definitely using his footwork. I guess he was just trying to avoid Effie's power. So he was fighting smart, using his footwork. Trying not to get knocked out. But I think later on in the fight, he started getting comfortable. But to me, he just didn't throw enough punches, to win
Yeah.
that fight. And I think Effie is still, he's still not pressing as hard as he could. I guess, man, the loss to Frank Sanchez probably affected him in a sense. But like I told G5 and from the Goodfellas podcast, big shout out to him. I was saying, Effie, to me, he's just like a watered down version of Wilder. He's got the height, he's got the reach, but he don't got that explosive like Wilder. You know what I mean?
Yeah, not at all. He's not really that explosive, and he kind of sort of he cuts the ring off okay, but he's a little bit stiff. Like he doesn't have the best head movement or anything like that. I definitely thought he rightfully won that fight. I just think Shaw fought really nicely in the first and second round. If he had kept that up, he could have won the fight. But it seemed like he was content just really throwing the bare minimum to keep himself in the fight. But I think he could have thrown a lot more, but it seemed like he was trying to be too careful, I guess.
Yeah, man, I remember his fight with Joey Davica, and that fight went the distance, if I'm not mistaken.
No, I
And
think he the eighth round stoppage. I think he got that. I think he did get the stoppage in that fight.
yeah, but I remember that fight, and I remember Joey Davica saying he took that fight, on short week's notice. So that's why he lost so bad. He just took that fight on short week notice. But that's the thing with fighters, when they take fights on short week notice, man, you can expect for them to take a beating. But there's fighters who take fights on short week notice and they dominate. Like we can take Hector Garcia when he fought Chris Colbert. He took that fight on short week's notice, and he dominated that fight. And we haven't seen Chris Colbert back in the ring since. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, Chris Colbert is. They're actually talking about him fighting on the undercard of Caleb Plant versus Benavidez. Sorry to get off topic, but that's what I heard. He's coming back.
Yeah, I saw some news too about him coming back. So I want to see him. I want to see him get back in there and see how he does. Moving forward. So I'm definitely interested in seeing what's going to happen for him. But yeah, on the undercard we had Johnny Rice versus Vianello, and my thoughts on that fight. Vianello, he came out swinging for the fences. His record was he had like 10 wins with 9 knockouts. So he definitely had a lot of power. So I think he just came out swinging for the fences and was just trying to get the knockout. And Johnny Rice, he stayed composed. He stayed
Very
composed.
composed.
Yeah.
I think I never was high on Guido. I never really was that high on him. I thought he was like all right. He had a good amateur career and stuff like that. But He was actually the underdog. I saw that apparently the betting odds had them hit the underdog against Johnny Rice, which was actually a little surprising to me, but not really because Johnny Rice is on a good run right now, and it looked like they almost robbed Johnny Rice of the win. They almost did in the middle of that. It was like a what was it? He landed that big straight right hand on his eye and immediately opened the cut. But the referee tried to rule that as a headbutt. I think it was a genuine accident because he did give the the videotape to rewatch the videotape. He gave that a chance and then he ruled it correctly. If he had refused to do that, I think there would have been something fishy about it.
Yeah, like Johnny Rice, like he stayed composed. Like saying he was looking for that big shot, and he eventually landed it, and so he got what he wanted in that fight. And I stated before, man, referees have a tough job.
They
They
do.
don't, yeah, they don't catch everything. So yeah, Johnny Rice, he almost was robbed of a victory, but I'm glad they got it straight. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, the referee went out, he went out the ring, rewatched the video and he made the right call. So I'm happy for Johnny Rice. And that was a bad cut, man. That was a real,
That,
real bad
that
cut.
was like one of the worst cuts you can. That's one of the worst spots you can get, and it was across his entire eye.
Yeah. So like big ups to Johnny Rice for getting another victory. He had two back-to-back victories over Michael Coffey. So he's on a nice run. But who is Johnny Rice signed to?
I think it kind of sounded like from other videos he might have switched over to Top Rank, but I don't think so. I think he's still with Al Heyman. I think he's one of the fighters that Al Heyman kind of lets him go across the street whenever, but I could be wrong about that. I'm pretty sure he's signed to Al Heyman, but if there's someone out there that can correct me on that, that would be cool. But as far as I know, he's signed to Al, and Al lets him cross the street.
Yeah, and I'm saying that he's calling out Jared Anderson. He's saying he would like to fight him. So what you think about that? Me, man. I think I think Jared Anderson would win, but I think that he will get clipped with some big shots because in the past we seen Jared Anderson take big shots in his fights, and Johnny Rice, like I wouldn't say he's very fast, but I think Anderson, man, Anderson would just take the fight to him, and like Johnny Rice wouldn't be able to keep up with Anderson's pace.
I agree on that. I think what was it? Johnny Rice would give him some way more rounds than he's ever really had to go.
Yeah.
At least he should. At least on paper, he should. But yeah, I just hope Jared Anderson, you know, takes care of, how do you say, get his defense a little better
Yeah,
because he got caught with a couple big shots from Jerry Forrest.
right.
And you can tell he was slightly buzzed from it, but he just kept going on the attack. But I think he needs to watch out for that. He shouldn't take a risk like that with Johnny Rice because Johnny Rice I think would be smart enough to counter him.
Mm.
And I think Johnny Rice deserves a couple of decent fights where he's supposed to win, get some money, get a couple bags in. Because he's more than deserved it. He's been the underdog not except for the last fight, but he was in fights that he really wasn't supposed to win. And he won them, so I think he deserves a couple easy paydays, and then go in for it with Jared Anderson, unless that bag is really big, because that's like all risk and no reward. And I think he's good enough to deserve a couple of decent paydays where he's supposed to win and then fight Jared Anderson. That's how I would do it. But if he wants to take the Jared Anderson fight, then by all means go for it. I'm not going to rule him out completely. I think Jared Anderson should win that fight, but would I be surprised in an upset? Kind of. But I think Johnny Rice is game.
Yeah, he's a good fighter for sure. But I think Jared Anderson, he just got the youth, he got the combination. So I think he could get clipped, a couple of times by Johnny Rice, but he'll overcome it and he'll weather the storm, and he'll probably eventually get a stoppage.
Yeah, he definitely. I think if he's gonna win, it's definitely gonna be by stoppage.
Yeah. Let me get into these comments, man. We got Gabriel Ruiz in the building. Big shout out to Gabriel Ruiz. He says Ajaba is Sam Peter 2.0, power for days, but mechanical.
Oh, who's Sam Peter again? Don't tell me. I think I know who that is. That's name's so familiar.
Yeah, he was a heavyweight guy, like kind of big, and he had a lot of power.
Oh,
So
okay. I do remember him. I do remember Samuel Peter.
yeah. So we got Obsidian Comics in the building. He said, "What up, man? What's up, man? Big shout out to you, man. Thank you for coming on." Yeah, man. So let's get into this Caleb Plant versus David Benavidez. Like, I know this is a fight that you real excited for.
Oh yeah, I might actually pull up for that one.
Yeah, have tickets gone on sale yet or no?
Not yet, not yet. I'm checking every day until I'm checking and I'm checking until they as soon as they release. I'm gonna check the prices out, see if I can go.
Yeah, cool. Like definitely let me know what the tickets looking like. I never been to a fight in Vegas. So, I definitely gotta pull up, to a fight in Vegas, man. I definitely gotta pull up the one. But yeah, as far as the fight, man, me, I'm going with David Benavidez. David Benavidez, he's a big guy. He's got the youth. He likes to walk his opponents down. He throws crazy combinations. And both guys fought the dog, Anthony Durrell. And I believe Caleb Plant got the better victory. He got like one of the knockouts of the year. We never seen nobody do that to Anthony Durrell. But the thing with David Benavidez is David Benavidez, he just kept coming. And Anthony Durrell, he cuts easily in his fights, and that's one thing I hate about Anthony Durrell is that he cuts so easily. I don't know if he got like bad scar tissue or what, but he cuts bad in his fights. But yeah, Caleb Plant definitely had the better knockout, and the better stoppage over Anthony Durrell. But as far as this fight, man, I'm definitely going for David Benavidez. Like I said,
I,
he's got the youth, he's got the power, he's got the combinations, and I think he's just gonna walk Plant down. The Plant's going to be fighting from the back foot. He's just not going to have enough power to keep David Benavidez off of him.
so what I think about this is, well, I would say if you're gonna compare like the wins, like or when people compare the wins, yeah, I think I mean definitely Caleb Plant got the better like result, like getting the flat out KO, but you also have to consider that like Benavidez was 22 when he fought Durrell,
Yeah.
and then Durrell was also 34 and also has not been stopped prior to fighting Benavidez. And plus, he fought completely different. He was fighting off the back foot. He was doing the defensive style against Benavidez. Durrell was chasing after Caleb Plant, which you're a little bit more susceptible to getting caught with something. And I think also Durrell was I think it was 38 years old. He already had basically this is like literally the end of his career. I don't know if he said he's going to flat out retire yet, but this is towards the end of his career. And I think when he fought Benavidez, somewhat in the middle, maybe a little bit after the middle. But Benavidez was a lot younger, and so was Durrell. And so I think in terms of the timing, I think Benavidez had the better Durrell. And but in terms of the result, Caleb Plant definitely got the better win, a better result with the win. As far as who I think is going to win this fight, I'm going to go with David Benavidez. But I think it's a lot closer fight than I thought before. Like, but if I would say if Caleb Plant and Benavidez had fought a couple of years ago, I would say Benavidez would win fairly easily. Now that he has Breadman in his corner, and you can obviously see the improvements, it's a much closer fight. Actually, I'm a little nervous about this fight because knowing me, like like I'm literally the biggest Benavidez fan like in the entire world. So it's like so that's I'm really nervous about it, but I'm trying to I have to still be objective, and I think it's like a 52-48 fight. Like that's how close I think it is, and it's like slightly edge Benavidez, but it's like if Caleb Plant wins, I really wouldn't be surprised. Like this is coming from me. Like I'm a huge Benavidez fan, but like I think Plant has a decent shot if he fights like the way he did against Durrell. He's definitely going to be like game but I definitely need Benavidez to win because there's a lot of people hoping that he loses. So I definitely need him to win this fight. But I'm gonna predict. I mean, in my opinion, I think it should probably be like 8th to 10th round TKO stoppage.
Yeah, to follow up on that, like I agree with you. You know, ever since Caleb Plant got with Birdman, like Birdman's definitely changed his game up. Like I said, the Caleb Plant that fought Anthony Durrell was game, man. He was like on point. You know, his movement, his skills, like he displayed all that. You know, so I'm happy. I'm happy that he's with Birdman. Like we don't know what Caleb Plant's gonna come out. You know, to fight Benavidez. We don't know if he's gonna fight on the back foot. We don't know if he's gonna stay in front of him. I think he's going to fight from the back foot, but he's gonna just keep throwing crazy combinations. But like I said, I just don't feel that he has enough pop in his punches to actually hurt Benavidez, even though he hurt Durrell. So we'll just see how it plays out, man. But this is a fight that a lot of people are looking forward to, and a lot of people don't think that David Benavidez has fought a fighter with Caleb Plant's caliber.
So that actually is true. I think but I think what way Caleb Plant fought. I think if he fights where fights off the back foot, but he plants his feet when he knows it's the right time to do it, or like he times it right and stuff like that. That's when I think he's going to give Benavidez troubles. If he's completely on the back foot the entire time, because he was not completely on the back foot the entire time with Durrell, he would plant his feet in spots. And so if he was like if he fights Benavidez the way he fought Canelo, he's losing the fight. But if he basically back foot the entire time, not sitting on any punches, but if he sits down on his punches and spots, I think Caleb Plant has a way better chance of winning. And even with that, even when he does it, I still think I slightly favor Benavidez, but we're gonna have to see, man. I'm a little nervous about this fight, but I'm also super excited. But I think it's gonna be a good clash of styles. A guy walking down and the other guy trying to outbox the other guy.
Yeah, and I think Caleb Plant, like we can go back to when he fought Canelo. To me, he just didn't have enough power to hurt Canelo. Like to me, he was throwing a lot of pity pat shots. You know what I mean? And like,
I think he sat down on one punch that entire fight. I think he maybe sat down on a couple punches, but the entire time he was just throwing pity pats. That's why most people had Canelo up, because they weren't really counting the little pity pats.
yeah,
And so that's why I actually, looking back, I think I had the fight even going into that 11th round, but I was kind of counting his pity pat punches though, so that's why I had
yeah,
it even.
yeah, and it's gonna to me, it kind of reminds me like we just had Rashidi Ellis versus Villa. And Rashidi Ellis, to
Uh-oh.
me, in that fight, he was just like he was game. He was game. He was doing what he could. But to me, he was throwing pity pat punches. He couldn't really hurt Villa. You know what I mean? So, but he tried, so that's why I hate to see guys who don't have power fight guys who got a lot of power, because in the last round, Villa ended up getting knocking down Rashidi 2 times.
That second half of that fight was really fun. Not gonna lie, that fight was really fun. The second half. And I think I had Rashidi winning very slightly, but I'm not mad that they gave it to the other guy, because I mean, he came back really strong, scored the 2 knockdowns. Actually, you could argue he should have scored 3 knockdowns. I think they might have robbed him of 1 knockdown, no? Or I can't remember if that was the case, but with those 2 knockdowns and everything, if somebody had him winning, I won't be mad at them. But I did have Rashidi winning even with those 2 knockdowns. He just didn't have his guard up. He was tired, and catching all these shots and stuff. Got hurt a couple times before the knockdown, and
Yeah.
credit to Villa for coming back on that one. And that was a fun fight to watch.
Yeah, so yeah, that's just how I feel like it's gonna play out, with Caleb Plant and Benavidez. I just
Yeah.
believe that Caleb Plant is just not gonna have enough pop in his punches. And it also reminds me of Virgil Ortiz versus McKinson. Like McKinson
Oh
only
yeah.
had like two KOs and like 20 some fights. And he did good in that fight against Virgil Ortiz, but he just didn't have enough power, and Virgil Ortiz eventually stopped him. So that's why I hate to see guys, that's feather fisted fight guys who are power punchers.
Yeah. So actually, he did actually fairly okay in that fight. I think he lost most of those rounds, but yeah, man. Uh, he got. I think what was it, a body shot that he went down? I think it was. I think it was a body shot that if I remember correctly.
Mm. Yeah.
I think Benavidez is gonna stop. I don't think. I think I think Benavidez needs to focus on getting body shots in to slow down Caleb Plant.
Yeah. Let me get in the comments.
Okay.
Said Wilton Henry in the building. Big shout out to Wilton. He said, "What up, Ty and Chris G? Good stuff. Benavidez will eventually wear Plant down with value." Yeah. So it seems like
That's
everybody agrees, that Benavidez is eventually going to, he's gonna stop Caleb Plant. That's what it looks like everybody's agreeing with.
I'm like hoping he catches Caleb Plant with that big left hook that he caught Lemieux with. I want him to catch him with the same thing.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So let's get into this, man. Let's get into Keith Thurman and Errol Spence.
Oh man.
So nobody can really figure out, what the deal with this fight is. Both guys are fighting. They're fighting at 154, and there's no belts on the line.
On the line. Yeah. Oh, you want to go ahead and start this one, or you want me to start this one?
Well, I started off, man. I'm thinking. Here's what I'm thinking that Keith Thurman, this is a bad move for him. He's only fought 2 times since 2019. He fought Manny Pacquiao in 2019, and he came back and he fought Barrios. So you're talking about 2 fights in 4 years. So
Yeah.
plus Keith Thurman is also older. So
one time a year, he would keep the 1 time a year Thurman.
Yeah. One time Thurman a year, Keith, or run time Thurman. You know what I mean?
Like 1 every 2 years, really. Now at this point.
Yeah. So for him moving up in weight and him, his inactivity, to me, that's just a bad thing. Going against one of the top welterweights in the game in Errol Spence. So to me, I believe Keith Thurman, he's gonna fight off the back foot, but his legs are not gonna be good like they used to be. And I think that Errol Spence is just gonna he's gonna be on him. He's gonna cut off the ring. He's gonna go to the body. And that Keith Thurman isn't good. He's not good to the body. So I think in this fight, Errol Spence may get a stoppage, but I don't understand why it's not for the belts. I think that maybe let's just say that Keith Thurman won. They don't want a guy like Keith Thurman to hold on to the belts. You know what I mean? Because a guy like Keith Thurman, who's been inactive, and hasn't fought, only two times in 4 years. They don't want a guy like that, to hold all the belts. So that's just my take on it.
I think I don't know. Just from what I analyzed from the situation, I think they can't make weight in time for April, wherever this. When did they say when this fight's gonna happen?
I think they said April. I'm not sure what the date is, but it is April.
Because I know for a fact that Spence has to cut over 40 pounds every time he fights. So I don't think 3 months is enough time for him to cut all that weight. So I think weight reasons is probably why. But I think it's a bad idea because I'd rather them fight in May or give him the extra time to make 147, because once he fights at 154, it's gonna be a lot harder to fight at 147. It's gonna going back up and down. I think once he gets acclimated at 154, is he gonna be able to make 147 again to defend the titles? That's my little worry, because he already barely makes 147.
Yeah, and that's the thing with Spence. I remember when he fought Porter, at the press conferences and everything, he looked a lot bigger, compared to Porter, man. He looked like a heavyweight compared to Porter. And then, also when he was talking with Brian Custer, when he was at the Frank Martin versus Michelle Rivera fight, he looked big in that. He looked big then. So I just think, maybe, that's why they're having this fight at 154, because, Spence is a big guy. And I had another thought that, maybe that this accident affected him, and maybe that he can't train as hard as he wants to, you know what I mean?
So because he walks around at 180, 180 something. Mm-hmm. And so that's a lot of weight to cut. And so I think in my opinion the main reason why this is happening at 154 is because of weight drain reasons.
Yeah. So who you got in the fight, though?
Spence should definitely win the fight. He's a really good body, body puncher, and Keith Thurman has a glass liver. So
facts, man, facts. I remember the shot he took from was it Luis Collazo, I remember he took that shot from him, man. He was on his bicycle. And when
And
when he fought Sean Porter, man, Sean Porter, I remember, I can't remember what round it was, but Sean Porter was literally running after him, man. But like Sean Porter, he just got that bully style. But even though that Sean Porter had him on the ropes, Keith Thurman, his inside game is definitely on point, man. Like even though Sean Porter got that bully style, pushing on the ropes, throwing punches from all angles, to me, Keith Thurman was still winning, those exchanges with Porter.
When he fought Mario Barrios, he got caught with a body shot the second half of that fight, and he ran on his bicycle. He actually looked really bad against what's his name, Josecito Lopez. That wasn't a body shot, that was a headshot, but he definitely didn't look that great in that fight. And then what was it? And then in the Manny Pacquiao fight, he got hit with a body shot too, and and I forgot what round it was. In the second half, he got hit with a body shot and went on his bike for the rest of the round.
Yeah, let me get these comments. So, Gabriel says, the only way the feather-fisted guy can win is by taking a page from Joe and his fight with that unorthodox rhythm.
I agree with that. Actually.
Yeah, and he says that's in relation to Plant versus Benavidez.
Okay.
Yeah, so let's get into Tank versus Ryan Garcia. Oscar De La Hoya, he came out, I believe he came out like Monday or Sunday, and he was saying something like that if he wasn't going to get a contract, then he was going to go ahead and move on, and that it was possibly that him and Tank weren't going to fight, and then like the next day he says they got the contract. So it looks like that Ryan Garcia and Tank Davis is a go. What do you think about it? Do you think it's a go, or do you think
it looks like now that De La Hoya came out and said something, it seems more believable? I'm not gonna say it's 100%, but it seems to be more and more likely. But there's some funny business going on with that too. I don't know if I told you.
Nah, the only thing that I know of is Tank still has the hit and run. He's gotta go to court and everything for that. But
go ahead.
Yeah, but far as the stuff, the domestic stuff, I believe all that's just going to be thrown out the window. Since the lady came out and said change your story, I think that's just going to go down the drain. But I believe he's still got the hit and run. But other than that, I don't see anything stopping this fight from happening.
Ryan Garcia came out and it was recorded saying the reason why he wanted to do a tune-up fight, but the reason why he didn't do a tune-up fight was because PBC or Tank's team, I can't remember which one it was, asked him, don't take a tune-up fight. You take a tune-up fight where the fight's not happening. So they're trying to ring rust him so they can have the A-side advantage. That's what it seems like the case. Because everyone was telling him to take the tune-up fight, and he was like, no, I'm not going to take it. But he never really came out and said right away why he's not taking a tune-up fight. I thought that was a dumb move that he wouldn't take a tune-up fight. But it seems in a record, it wasn't. It was just a voice recording of him talking to somebody, how he was asked not to take a tune-up fight, or the fight kept getting pushed back on purpose. Like they were supposed to fight in October, then it was pushed back to December, and then they accepted the fight for January. But then they switched to, oh no, Tank's got to take a tune-up fight, but you don't take one. It was some funny business going on that sort of came out on but it's like a hearsay whatever. When people say it's like you either believe him or you believe the other team. But the reason why I believe Ryan is because PBC is known to kind of pull that funny business for the A side. Hence why I think they're probably not. They're kind of like blackmailing him into not taking a tune-up fight. Not saying Tank in particular, but maybe PBC, because he's not an Al Haymon fighter, and so people who aren't Al Haymon fighters that are going to fight on PBC kind of get the short end of the stick, kind of like with the negotiations with Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence.
Yeah, so everybody's got different opinions, as far as Ryan Garcia taking the tune-up. Like Wilton that's in the building, he was saying that he thinks that Ryan Garcia should just focus on Tank. And of course, G5, big shout out to G5. He was saying he thinks that, Ryan should just focus on Tank. Me personally, I felt that he should, just took a tune up. I mean, you going there with Tank Davis, who's a power puncher, man, who's been stopping everybody that's been in his path. So, and Ryan Garcia doesn't have the best chin. So, to me, in my professional opinion, why not just go in there and get some rounds in, and prepare.
So I think I'm chilling with him focusing. It's not he didn't fight that long ago. It's not the worst ring rust but he's gonna have a little bit. But yeah, but I've been like watching a lot of people predict it. I'm surprised at what people are predicting for that fight, man. I've watched a couple of predictions and people saying like, hey, 2 years ago I would have said Tank really easily. Now people are saying it's like now it's a hard choice.
Yeah, and here's the thing. When he fought Fortuna, he looked real good. He looked real good in that fight.
That hook. I was like, what the heck did he go down from?
Yeah, and like before he fought Fortuna, he fought, I believe the guy's name was like Tago or something like that.
Tago. Boxing,
okay,
that's Boggs guy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that fight with Tago, I didn't like that. To me, that fight was boring.
It was just chasing around, but Tago really refused to engage at all. It was just he just showed up to survive. That's literally what that was. Eventually, he got caught and almost got put out, but he didn't get the stoppage in the end.
Yeah, and then his fight, like I said, his fight with Fortuna, man, he just looked great in that fight, man. He looked awesome in that fight. But let's say credit to his trainer Joe Goosen as well. So, but yeah, I just felt that he should have taken the tune up, but even De La Hoya said that he didn't agree with Ryan Garcia, not taking the tune up. But and then he comes out and said that if they didn't get a contract, they were moving on. So I'm like, let's just say he didn't get a contract and they moved on. Then he basically missed out, from a fight this month from not taking the tune up. So that's why I just felt like he should have taken a tune up anyway, just to have the stay busy fight.
Yeah, I agree, but I think from what information that I found, he was kind of like pinned down into not being allowed to take a tune-up fight. That's from one side. I did hear something about him sort of not being allowed to take a tune-up fight.
Gotcha. Let me get in these comments. Gabriel Ruiz says, speaking of tune-up fights, has Thurman fought recently? Why return again against a guy like Spence? Gabriel Ruiz, Thurman fought his last fight was against Barrios. I don't know what the exact date was. Chris, you know what the date was for that fight?
It was January of 2022.
So pretty much a year ago. Yeah. So
he has not fought recently at all. Recently would be a couple months ago. That's what I would say recently. But no, it was like exactly a year ago.
Yeah. But Gabriel, to answer your question, to me, I just knew that Keith Thurman was going to be the next runner in line because think about it, Crawford and Spence negotiations that fell apart. Boots just came off a win. Virgil Ortiz and Stanionis that got postponed because Stanionis had an injury. So to me, it just made sense that it would have been Keith Thurman. But now a lot of people don't like this fight because of two reasons: because there's no belts on the line and that the fight's going to be at 154 pounds. But me personally, I just knew that the next option was going to be Keith Thurman.
I think Boots and Virgil Ortiz had more rights to fight Spence than Thurman, in my opinion.
Yeah, but see, like I was saying, like Boots just came off a win, and like I said, Virgil Ortiz, like I said, his fight's been postponed. So that's, to me, it just seemed like Thurman was the best option. But yeah, that's just me.
In-house fight. It's an in-house fight, easy to make, and I think Spence is gonna stop Thurman to the body. That's what I think.
Yeah, Spencer's definitely going to win this fight. So next month, February 25th, we got four different fights supposedly. So we got Adrian Broner versus Hank Lundy. We got Floyd Mayweather that just announced that he's got another exhibition. We got Matias versus Ponce. That's three. And then we got Jake Paul versus Tommy Fury for the. This is the third time that these guys are trying to make this fight. So what you think about those four fights? Let's just start off with Adrian Broner and Hank Lundy. What you think about that card?
I don't know who's gonna win that fight. To be honest with you, that's a hard pick. Even Hank Lundy with 12 losses, dude. I would not be surprised if he pulled off the upset.
Yeah, and to follow up on that, Hank's last two wins, I was actually in the building both times he won. And this was, I believe this was before COVID. This had to be like 2018, 2019 when Haney when Lundy when he got those wins. So it's been a minute, man. It's been a long time since he got those wins. And Broner, he was recently supposed to fight Omar Figueroa, then he pulled out of that fight. So it's it's a it's a tough one for me to call. I think Broner should win. And, he should win. He should go in there and let his hands go. But that's
I
just
thought he. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
now. That's just me, man. I just think he needs to just let his hands go. But if he loses to Hank Lundy, man, I'm gonna be shocked, to be honest with you.
I don't think I'll be that shocked. I actually thought if he had fought Figueroa, he would have lost.
Man.
I think he would. I think in my mind he was the slight underdog against the Omar Figueroa.
Yeah, I wish he could have got that win because Lipinets basically he retired. He retired Figueroa.
That was man. Lipinets is a good fighter, man.
Yeah. So
Um, what was the what was the next fight after that? Was it the Ponce versus Matias?
yeah, Matias. Who you
All
got
right.
for that one?
So okay, all right. I can tell you a little bit about Jeremiah's Ponce. I can tell. So he has a similar. He's like the come forward, throw as many. He's also like a offense first, think about defense later type of fighter. And so this one should be a really good fight while it lasts. Somebody's going down. I think Subar Matias is going to win that fight, but it's going to be good while it lasts.
Like speaking of Matias, I was there at his last fight. At the Gary Russell versus Mark Masayo on the undercard of that fight. So it was nice to see him fight live. He's definitely got a lot of power, man. Like almost all knockouts in every single one of his
Wait,
fights.
who did he fight last?
I'm not even sure who the opponent was, to be honest. It
I'm a
was
little,
it was a guy. It was a guy. He actually had a rematch with him, and I think the first time it went to the decision, but this time he stopped him.
Are you sure it was that guy?
I'm
Was that
not
if,
sure. Yeah, his last fight was January. It was last year. It was on the Gary Russell versus Mark Messiah undercard.
Oh, you're right. I
Yeah,
thought his last fight was against Jukambayev, but
and Brad, let me pull it up.
no, he definitely Malik Hawkins, Jukambayev, and then the guy he rematched. Yep, I'm looking it up right now.
Okay, yeah, I
You're
remember. Yeah, I remember when he fought Malik Hawkins.
Oh, dude,
Yeah,
what he did to Malik Hawkins was so hilarious, dude.
yeah, I felt bad for Hawkins, because Hawkins, he's from Maryland, so
He's from Maryland, yeah.
yeah, I ride with all my guys from Maryland, man. So I hate to see my Maryland guys, take losses, man.
I mean, like, I mean, like, he kind of it was a little bit of karma for what he did, uh, he had talked bad to Vlog a little bit. They had a back and forth, and he was definitely in the wrong for what he said, and then he proceeded to get completely outboxed. But like the thing, what Subaru Matias did, he was fighting him with his hands down. He would literally go right after him with his hands down, head first with his hands down, and just throw punches. And then Malik Hawkins didn't have an answer for it.
Yeah, so yeah, Matiz, he's definitely a power puncher. So I'm looking forward to seeing him back. But I thank you for breaking down about his opponent. Like I said, I don't know too much about him. I may have seen him fight before, but I don't recall. But like far as the fight, like who did you got in this one?
Oh, for Subaru Matias versus Ponce,
Yeah,
I got Subaru Matias winning by likely late stoppage. Like I would say not too late, but like I would say like 8, 9, 10.
yeah. So and then Yeah, so I'm gonna go for him by stoppage as well. Like I said, and then we have Jake Paul versus Tommy Ferry. My thoughts on this fight, man. The first time the fight got called off was due to Tommy Ferry. He had an injury. The second time it was called off was due to Tommy Ferry. Visa issues. But it looks like that fight is going to happen in Saudi Arabia. So and Jake Paul is going to be flying over there. So to me, it seems like Jake Paul, he's not taking no for an answer. He wants this fight, so he's gonna fly over there to Saudi Arabia. So there's no visa issues. It's nothing. It's nothing that's gonna
Man,
stop this fight from happening. So I think he's really, they're really just trying to settle this beef and get it out the way because Mayweather's last exhibition. Tommy Ferry fought on the undercard. After that fight was over, there was a little controversy. Their father was trying to get out the ring and getting Jake Paul's face, trying to start a little beef. And I was like, man, they're still entertaining this and they're still going back and forth with this. So I was like, I ain't even entertaining this stuff anymore. And then all of a sudden, it gets announced. So
what was it? If it's gonna be in Saudi Arabia, they're putting up a big bag probably for
yeah.
the boxers, man. Good for them, man.
Yeah, it's definitely they're definitely gonna get some nice paydays from this. But like we know that Jake Paul isn't a real boxer, but he's fought these UFC guys. He's fought Tyron Willie. He's beat him twice. He's beat Anderson Silva. So I like what he's doing, man.
Yeah,
He's fighting former combat guys. You know what I mean, and he's beating them. So that speaks in itself that he's a good fighter. You know what I
if
mean?
you watch how he fights, for someone who'd never really trained boxing his entire life,
Yeah,
just recently, only a few years ago, trained boxing, he is actually fairly decent. I don't think he'll be any of the real top boxers or anything like that, but I think he's definitely training hard, and he's putting a lot of the fighters on his undercard are getting some shine, and so I think he's, in my opinion, I think he's doing good for boxing. Especially for the guys on his undercard, and he's and what should I call it? And for someone who has limited training and only started recently, he's fairly decent, I would say.
yeah.
He has good decent fundamentals.
Yeah, and the guy, I'm gonna follow up on that. I like what you said, about the undercards. Guys are fighting on his undercards. They're getting paid. So, and Jake Paul, he's headlining pay per views. So so everybody on the card at the end of the day is getting a nice bag. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and some shine and some publicity.
Yeah, facts. But like to me, far as Tommy Fury, being the younger brother of one of the best heavyweight champions out there, in Tyson Fury, do you think honestly he should be fighting a guy like Jake Paul though?
He's doing it for the bag. He Tommy Fury is really not going to do a whole lot in against real train like boxers who've been training their whole life. I don't think Tommy Fury is going to really hold up that well. He hasn't really looked that great in his fights. Been
Yeah,
looking okay at best.
yeah,
And so that's why I wouldn't be surprised if Jake Paul, beat him. But he does have a really long reach. I'll say that he does have a incredibly long reach for his weight class.
yeah. He's a big guy, man. He's real cut. He's real big. Like his frame. So he's a big guy, and Jake Paul is a big guy as well. So like, who you got in this fight and how?
I think do you know how many rounds the fight is going to be?
Honestly, no.
If it's 8 rounds, I think I'll take. I, oh man, it's really hard to pick because you got a okay boxer and then a guy that's like not really a boxer, but it's actually okay too. So I don't
Yeah.
know. I'm gonna say Jake Paul by decision.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, I don't know, man. I can't call this one, man. Yeah, like I said, Jake Paul, he's shown us what he can do, with Anderson Silva. He's shown us what he can do with Willie. So, like I said, he's beating UFC guys. So it's tough for me to call, man. So I can't predict this one, man. I can't
Yeah,
predict this one.
I almost wasn't gonna pick, but I just went with the person I kind of want to win.
Yeah, yeah. And like I said, then the last one is Mayweather's exhibition. Like I said, this
Yeah.
was recently announced. I don't know who he's fighting, and honestly, I don't really care for all the
Dude,
stuff Mayweather's doing, man.
I think the dude who was screaming at McDonald's, I think he got a phone call from Mayweather, dude.
Yeah, man, Mayweather just been fighting a lot of guys we don't know lately, man. But at the end of the day, man, he's just having fun. He's not taking punishment and he's getting a nice size bag. So credit
Yeah.
credit to him doing his thing, man.
Yeah, he was like, I remember one of his fights. He's like, dude, I got paid 30 million before the fight even started because of this patch on my shorts.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so let's just get into a couple more things, man. We got I know tomorrow I can't really call for this fight, but tomorrow we got Chris Eubank versus Beefy Smith. I'm just gonna
Oh,
go with
um,
I'm gonna go with Chris Eubank probably by decision.
it's kind of freezing up a little bit. Oh,
Uh,
you going who by decision?
Yeah, I would say I would go with Chris Eubank by decision, beating Beefy Smith. But like I said, I'm not too familiar. I know Smith lost to Canelo years ago, but I haven't really followed his career like that. But of course, Chris Eubank, his fight with Conor Ben got called off due to Conor Ben testing positive for
Positive for
PEDs. Yeah,
if he got tested positive for Clomid.
yeah. So to everybody that's watching, man, if you got any questions about PEDs or anything like that, PD, Chris G is the guy. Chris G is the guy that asks those questions, man. He can answer any of those questions for you, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm gonna go for Chris Eubank by decision in the fight. So
I think if Chris Eubanks fights with his violent style, I think he could get a late stoppage. Beefy's gonna be fair game. Would I be surprised if Beefy won? No, I wouldn't actually. Beefy's really good. Um, I like his nickname, man, Beefy.
yeah,
Oh man. I'm gonna take Chris Eubanks, but I would not be surprised if Beefy won.
cool, cool. Let me get in the comment. If City in comments, he says Tommy by late TKO. So yeah, he's going for Tommy Ferry. Like me personally, I think I'll lean more toward Tommy Ferry. Like I said, he is a real boxer. This is Jake Paul. If I'm not mistaken,
That's
this is Jake Paul's first time fighting a real boxer.
that's fair enough. At least if Tommy wins by TKO, the fight was not rigged.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Facts, man. So. And then, on the 28th, man, I'm upset that, Jamel Charlo, who's my favorite fighter, by the way, for everybody that's listening,
Oh,
that got, his fight with Tim Tszyu is postponed due to, Jamel Charlo having a arm injury. But we got Anthony Yarde versus Artur Beterbiev, and like, man, that's a fight that I can't wait to see. I probably will cover it live, so tune in for that. And I believe it's going to be a early TKO win for Beterbiev.
so I actually just recovered from that, man. I completely forgot that fight was canceled. The Jermel Charlo versus Tim Tszyu. Man, I was so hyped for that fight, dude. Man, oh my God, you have no idea, man. I was so excited for that fight. I mean, I think Jermel was gonna win, but I was gonna be pulling for Tim Tszyu.
Yeah, like I said, he is the son of a legendary fighter. So I always felt that Tim Tszyu was just biting off more than he could chew. Like yeah, he did get the win over Terrell Goucher, but like to me, Terrell Goucher he just doesn't perform his best. You know what I mean? To me, Terrell Goucher is an okay fighter, and Tim Tszyu got dropped by Terrell Goucher.
Yeah, he actually got dropped hard too. He was actually hurt, but after that, he got dropped. Rounds 2 to 12, he won every single one of them.
Yeah, yeah. So I
And he
said,
hurt Goucher many times through those rounds.
yeah, that's what I'm saying, man. I'm just not really too much of a big fan of Goucher. And like to me, having a win over Goucher doesn't put you in a line to fight a guy like Jamel Charlo. But like I said, man, the fight was signed, and credit to Tim Tszyu and his team, believing in him and taking this fight. But I just feel that Jamel is going to stop. He's going to stop him.
So
But
so
we don't.
Tim.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Now I'm saying, but we don't know when this fight is going to happen, so we just gotta wait.
So I think Tim Zoo should take a tune-up. But Tim he was the one of the highest ranking in the WBO, and so since Charlo has all four of the titles, he's got to fight. He's got to fight four mandatories a year, or else technically, if you go by the rules by the sanctioning bodies, I believe that if you wait 1 year to fight, you get stripped unless you fight at least one mandatory for each. So if you're undisputed, you're technically supposed to fight four times in a year. Because you fight once for the WBC, once for the WBO, once for the IBF, and once for the WBA. And I don't know if they really enforce that, but I think on paper that's how it's supposed to work. And what do you call it? Tim Zoo was top three in the WBO. Actually, I think he might be number one because he fought the other top guys in the WBO. So I think he technically worked his way up in the WBO. He's definitely, I think he's going to be as ready as he'll ever be. So I think this is a perfect time for him to take the fight. But I think he's gonna likely lose the fight, and because his style is come after you with not a whole lot of head movement. I think he has one of the lowest. He's got some of the. I think he has one of the weakest head movement in the game. I don't think he really has a. You've heard me say this before that I think his head movement is really bad, and I think that's how he's going to get caught with a big hook from Jermel.
Yeah,
And but I hope Tim Tszyu wins that fight, but I don't see it happening. I see Jermel catching him with a big hook, but I'll be happy if Tim Tszyu wins the fight for any reason.
yeah, and to follow up on that, man, we know, like as we were saying earlier, that Goucher dropped Tim Tszyu, and Jamel Charlo is a power puncher. Look what he did
Yeah.
to Lubin. Look what he did to Tony Harrison. Look what he did to
Oh,
Rosario,
I know.
Castano. These are all these guys I'm talking about are champions, man.
Yeah,
He's dropped and stopped all these
bro.
guys.
I
So
was actually really sad about the Rosario fight, and I was really sad about the
Lubin or
the
Castano.
Castano fight.
Yeah, Castano, man. The Castano, like we never seen nobody do that to Castano, man. It was
No,
like it was a punch to the body and then like a hook up top. Then he went down and then he finished him off with like another shot to the body.
you know,
So yeah, we
I
never
actually
seen nobody do that, to Castano,
to
man.
because I actually thought Castano won the first fight, but the
Mm,
second fight, I thought Jermel adjusted really good. Like I actually had Jermel up in the second fight,
mm.
and I had Castano up. And the first fight I had Castano up. Second fight, up until the stoppage, I'm pretty sure I remember having Jermel up. Like he adjusted really well. Where he was winning more rounds, in my opinion. And so yeah, he made really good adjustments in that fight.
Yeah, and I agree, man. I felt in the first fight, I felt like he just felt so uncomfortable when he fought Castano. Like he was fighting on the ropes. He looked uncomfortable. Like I said, Castano just keeps coming forward, just keeps throwing crazy amounts of punches. But the thing with Jamel Charlo, man, like in the rematch, he gets you out of there. Tony Harrison, he got Harrison
Yeah,
out of there, and Castano, he got him out of there. So
I,
like he don't leave it up to the judges in the
I
rematch, man.
I'm actually one of the few people that thinks Jermel won the first fight against Tony Harrison.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree, man. I believe that, yeah, Jamel won that too, but he was obviously robbed on paper, and according to the judges, they felt that Tony Harrison won. And then the rematch was scheduled, but I think that Tony Harrison got injured, and
Yep,
Jamel
ankle.
yeah, and so Jamel eventually fought. I believe it was Coda, and he dropped Coda in like the third round, and Tony Harrison was there alive. So, but he, like I said, man, he got his belt back, and he stopped Tony Harrison in the later rounds.
What's crazy is that I thought Jermel was winning that fight. In the first, he won the first fight, but I thought Tony Harrison was easily outboxing him in the second fight.
Yeah. Tony Harrison was definitely outboxing him, man. Like Tony Harrison was game in that second fight. But I felt that his showboating had caught up with him because he was showboating in that fight early and he was showboating in that fight late. So I felt that it caught up with him in a
It
sense.
caught up.
Not
Yeah, I
Yeah,
forgot how brutal that stoppage was. Freaking Jermel like literally like landed a bunch of uppercuts on him that were pretty brutal.
yeah, yeah. He landed. Yeah, yeah. And then Tony Harrison got mad, when the ref
He got
stopped
mad
it.
at the
Yeah,
stoppage. I remember
yeah,
that. That's actually kind of funny.
yeah, yeah. Let me get in these comments, man. So, Obsidian comment says, I think Beterbiev by mid round TKO.
I think Baturbia by like 3 or 4, dude.
Yeah, and says maybe 6 to 7. Yeah, I agree, man. I would say I would say Beterbiev wins this fight between round 1 through 4.
That is like the safest option that you just said. Wonderful.
Yeah, yeah.
Safest
So
opinion.
yeah, so I'm gonna just get in one more topic, man, before we close this one out, man. We've been doing this for almost an hour. So the last topic I wanted to get into was Cool Boy Fulton versus Inouye. I
Oh
heard
yes.
I heard that it was going to be Brandon Figueroa at first, and that
Mm-hmm.
it was supposed to be February 25th, and they were going to be the main event, and Matias and Ponce was going to be on the undercard. But now we got Cool Boy Fulton is going to be fighting. He's going to be fighting in Noy, and it looks like Brandon Figueroa may be fighting Mark Messiah. I don't know if that's true or not, but it looks like that's going to be happening. But far as Cool Boy Fulton and Inouye, me personally, I feel that this fight is worse for him than the Figueroa, because in the Figueroa fight, I felt that Cool Boy, even though he won, he landed the cleaner punches. I felt in that fight there were times where Cool Boy was seriously hurt, and it even looked in one round like he was going to get stopped. So
It looked
and you,
exactly like that. Give me 1 minute. I'm sorry. Keep on going. Sorry.
Uh, yeah. So yeah, I just felt, and in that fight that Cool Boy, even though he landed cleaner punches, even though that he bruised up Figueroa's face, I just felt that that Cool Boy felt real uncomfortable in that fight, and I was shocked that he was going to even take this rematch. But like I said, that's not happening now. But to me, the fight with Inouye, man, that fight is even worse. And and he's flying to Inouye's backyard in Japan. So, and Inouye has crazy power. So this is honestly a fight that I'm scared for Cool Boy Fulton to take. But congrats to him. He's daring to be great. We just seen this with Devin Haney. He flew to Australia back to back, and he beat George Kambosos both times. So
So I think um Cool Boy for doing that. If it's gonna happen, a lot of credit to him for taking the fight against one of the best fighters in the world. And I think what you call it? Yes, you were right. Stephen Fulton was hurt multiple times. I think at least 3 times against Brandon Figueroa, and one of the times he almost went down and almost got stopped by Figueroa. You can argue back and forth who won that fight. I thought Figueroa won maybe by a point. I can see a draw, and I'm not mad if you had Fulton winning. I was a little mad, not gonna lie. Actually, I was mad.
yeah,
but,
that
but,
yeah, man.
but,
If I was a
but
fighter, man, if I was a fighter, I would not fight Brandon Figueroa, man. That guy just keeps coming, man. That guy, he's all on you, man. He's a fighter that I would not fight, man. His style would make me real uncomfortable.
you know what's crazy? I thought Fulton landed some of the more of the cleaner punches, dude,
Mm,
and the more louder punches and the more like crisp shots.
mm.
And but Figueroa's punches didn't look like they were doing anything, but it seemed like they had a lot more sting on them because of how Fulton was reacting to them.
Yeah. And that's why, and that's the thing with Fulton, man. He doesn't have a lot of power, so he's got to work hard, man. It seems like all his fights go the distance, but yeah, I'm at times, even though when fighter doesn't have power, I'm still glad to see them go, 10 rounds or see them go 12 rounds, it show and display their skills, display their talent. So it's good to see Fulton, go the distance. But like I said, man, just him not having power in this fight with Inouye, man, I'm just scared for him to take this fight. But like I said, shout out to him, daring to be great.
Yeah, I agree. If Inoue wins, that's kind of like he unified belts,
Mm-hmm.
going up 4 weight classes, which is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And if Fulton wins, excuse me, Fulton wins, I mean, he's got one of the best pound for pound fighters on his resume, and I would make a case for him to be at the bottom of the top 10 if you're gonna have a pound for pound list.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I think if Inoue wins this, I think he should be number one if he was to beat Fulton. And it looks like the fight's gonna be in May or June, I think.
Yeah,
And
Mayor
then
June.
but yeah, Inoue has that crazy power, and he's a good boxer too. And man, he's got an entertaining style. He's got power. He's pretty defensively responsible,
Mm.
and yeah, man, I think that's going to be an amazing fight. And if that pay-per-view was $150, I'd pay for it.
Yeah, so like I said, man, congrats to Cool Boy, man. I believe this will be the first loss on his record, but like I said, Inouye's got like 20 some knockouts, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he's got, I think, 24-0 with 21 knockouts.
Yeah, see, that's a lot of power, man. Fulton has like under 10 or something like that, if I'm not
He's
mistaken.
got 21 fights with 8 knockouts.
See, so you talking
Yeah.
about a power puncher versus a feather fisted guy. And like as we were saying earlier, man, we seen this multiple times, man. We seen it with McKenzie and Ortiz. And, Ortiz stopped him. We just saw it with I wouldn't say Rashidi is feather fisted like that, but he just didn't have enough pop in his punches to hurt Villa. And look what happened. He ended up getting dropped 2 times in the last round. So I just hate to see, feather fisted guys versus power punchers, man.
So was it Fulton? The other problem I see is that every aggressive type fighter what was the guy that he beat before Figueroa, Angelo Leo. That's what Angelo, when he fought
Yeah,
Angelo Leo, he
yeah.
beat him at his own game, and then he attempted the same thing with Figueroa and got hurt multiple times. So if he attempts that with Inoue, I think he will get stopped. Stopped. Like mid.
Yeah.
He tries to fight the power punchers at their own game.
Yeah, for sure.
And then he was successful with Angelo Leo, really
Mm-hmm.
successful for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
And but it was a good fight, but it was close. I mean, I can't remember. I don't remember how close it was, but all I know is that he beat Angelo Leo at his own game, and I think
Yep.
towards the end it became more competitive. But against Figueroa, you can argue he lost by a round. And he also was, even if let's say if he flat out won the fight, he was the only one hurt in that fight multiple times, trying to fight a power punch. Because Figueroa was like I think 18 knockouts in 24 fights, so I think he's got a lot of knockouts too. And he tried to go exchange with Figueroa, which costed him a few times in the fight.
Mm-hmm.
And so if he tries doing that with Inoue, which he's had a track record of doing it, I hope he doesn't do it with Inoue. But if he does do it with Inoue, I don't think the fight's gonna go 6.
Yeah, to follow up on that, I agree with you, man. Like he fights guys at their own game and he wins. So he's real good. He's real good, fighting guys at their game, and he's good at adapting. But like I said, man, I just feel that Inoue just got way too much power for him, man.
Yeah, but have you ever watched a fight live? They're usually like at 6 a.m.
Yeah, that's gonna be in Japan. So we definitely gonna have to watch that in like a
we gotta
different
wake up.
time than we normally do. Yeah. It's gonna probably be like first thing in the morning, man. God, if I'm not mistaken, when Triple G had a fight with that
It
guy,
was
he
in the
fought in
morning.
Japan. Yeah, wasn't that real early?
It was like 9 or 10 in the morning, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, so like to everybody that's gonna be watching that fight, man, y'all gonna have to wake up first thing in the morning, watch that.
And I think Inoue's fights usually are like 6, 7 in the morning.
Yeah.
Like I'll wake up and then I see the group chat talking about
it. Yeah. So man, we'll close this one out, man.
All right.
Yeah, 1 hour strong, man. Like I said, this was definitely a kind of unexpected episode.
It really was, man.
Yeah, we was chatting it off camera, and we said, let's just do it.
Let's do it. Yep.
Yeah, let's just do it. And we did it. So like, big shout out to everybody that that tuned in. Big shout out to Gabriel Ruiz. Big shout out to Obsidian Comics. Big shout out to Wilton Henry. So we appreciate you guys coming on.
Yeah, and that was I didn't expect the chat to be popping like the way it was.
Yeah. The comment section was a little jumping today for sure. Yeah, and plus this was a later time to do an episode. I haven't really done any episodes like this late. I usually do them late, when I cover fights live, but I haven't really done any episodes around like after 8 o'clock. So definitely did something different, this time. So like again, man, appreciate you coming on. Like before we close this one out, man,
Yeah,
give
man.
us your social media, man.
I really mostly only use Instagram. It's Chris_G495, and I appreciate you having me on, man. It was really fun. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was fun for sure, man. Thank you. Yeah, thank you for coming on, the first time, man.
Yeah, man. I was
And
a little nervous.
yeah, like I said, man, everybody that's watching, man, if you got any questions, man, like questions about PEDs, Chris G is the guy to go to, man, for
I'm your
sure.
plug for that. Not literally, but for the
Yeah,
information, of course.
yeah. Chris G is the guy to go to, man. If you got questions about PEDs, that's your man.
All right,
Yeah,
y'all have fun.
yeah. So I'm on TikTok as the Legend 3347. I'm on IG as the Legend 3347. Y'all can find
Sir.
me on Facebook as Todd Finney. You just witnessed an exclusive episode on the In This Corner podcast. We out. We'll see y'all again soon. Peace.